Rural Americans deserve access to the best of what our nation has to offer, especially health care. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families healthy. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.
Excuse me! Taxi!
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
Well, the $64 trillion question. See, it's inflation now.
Yeah, it is. It sure is.
It started off a long time ago, $64 million.
It was thousands at one point.
64,000.
Yeah.
We have General Blaine Holt, who was reported NATO, Brigadier General in NATO, reported to Admiral Stavridis, a good friend of ours. And, well, is it going to happen sooner or later in Iran? What is your opinion?
So the $64 cajillion question.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, you see how I'm working the inflation angle. Look, I don't think we're going to see anything until after the State of the Union address. Why would you give all of that political capital over to the other side to have them?
Pelosi's not around to cheer up the speech anymore.
I know she's on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange, and she's buying oil futures right now, is what I'm hearing. But where I think we're at is the president really would like to see more progress, and he's getting it from the Gerald Ford strike carrier group. They were reported early this morning off the coast of Morocco that put them about a day ahead of schedule. They're going to race to the med. Every day, the president wants to drop the risk to U.S. forces if we have to go do this thing. On the other side, you've got the
yes.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say they've been talking about the Gerald T. Ford, the aircraft carrier that has capabilities that like no other aircraft carrier. Can you tell us some things that you're allowed to tell us?
Sure, 75 plus jets, a whole lot of sensors, and so when the Ayatollah is waving his fist and saying, we're going to go sink some aircraft carriers, it's like, well, you're going to meet a lot of new weapons that you don't even know exist in this world, my friend. But he doesn't say those things to threaten us. He says those things to his own population to give them the impression that they're not worried and they're very much in command of the situation. And the opposite is true. So let me tell you what's happening every day that we don't strike Iran. Every day, intelligence groups that are operatives on the ground are working to convince the IRGC that they'll be the ones left holding the bag and that the Iranian people and U.S. forces will go after them. They would do well to start flipping their allegiances. Every day, they're showing what an exile package could look like to the mullahs. But that's where this thing is tracking. But in terms of timing, the president has definitely got some patterns on use of force. So post State of the Union, markets are closed next Friday, not tomorrow. I could be surprised, but next Friday.
What's next Friday?
Yeah, what's next Friday?
The market's closed, but there's also something going on. When we look at moon illumination for military operations, it's at the optimal level for night vision goggle operations. And so if as a planner, I would advise my generals to go, hey, this would be a really nice window if we have to go do something. And then let's look at the closure of forces. You've got 6 AWACS aircraft that just closed on the theater. What does that mean? That means that just like Afghanistan and like Iraq, we can put up 24/7 combat operations over the skies of Iran now with complete command and control with the Israelis and Americans flying together 24/7. I would estimate we have up to 1,000 to 1,200 combat sortie capability every single night. And again, we don't want to hijack the revolution from the Iranian people, but we definitely want to tilt the scales into their favor.
By the way, before we let you go, Blaine, I want to go back to the IRGC, of course, the Revolutionary Guard. You brought up yesterday, and you just talked about it today, sort of creating that schism. And it really piqued my interest yesterday, where you said that some of them may be flipping, that there's at least some communication. Talk about that, because that is big.
We've seen that. So we've seen in not just them, but also the police, the secret police, the religious police. Look, they're all very nervous because if the mullahs make a run for it, the money's going to dry up quickly. And then the revolutionary folks are going to go, you're the problem. We're going to go after you. And they'll be the ones left holding the bag. And so top tier leaders are looking to cut a deal. Now, that gets to why the Ayatollah is not so quick to cut a deal with Donald Trump. How does he get himself to exile safely without catching a bullet from the IRGC? So it's a conundrum, but I do think that President Trump is going to do everything possible still to keep this from a bomber dropping a bomb.
We'll see. Wow, it could happen.
Thank you,
keep us posted, General. If you hear anything, let us know.
Always. Watch the oil markets. Pelosi is.
Rural Americans deserve access to the best our nation has to offer, especially when it comes to healthcare. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families' health. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.